I never thought my biggest fight would be over a swimming pool. But you know how life likes to throw curveballs, especially the kind that come wrapped in gold-stamped stationery and arrogance so thick you could butter toast with it. If you'd asked me a year ago if I'd ever go to war with a homeowners association, I would have laughed and probably offered you a beer. But here I am still shaking my head telling you this wild story because if it happened to me, trust me, it could happen to anybody. So buckle up. It started like a bad sitcom. Thursday morning, I found this fancy envelope in my mailbox. Heavy paper gold foil, like they were crowning me king of something I'd never wanted to rule. Pine Grove Ridge, HOA, it said. My first thought must be a mix-up. See, my 6-acre spread sits uphill from that subdivision with a patch of woods and about 400 feet of reinforced fence, making it very clear we're not the same. Different zip code, different lives. I never joined their HOA, never so much as waved at their little golf cart parades. But the letter was for me. Not current resident, not to whom it may concern. No, it was addressed right to me, Mr. Craig Mills. Inside one sheet, I can still hear the sarcasm in that font. Dear Mr. Mills, your backyard swimming pool has been selected as the host location for Pine Grove Ridge's annual community social this Friday at 5:00 p.m. We appreciate your cooperation. Please have the pool-ready gates unlocked, refreshments provided. Thank you for your civic spirit. Karen Stroud, HOA President. I laughed out loud. I read it again, then a third time, waiting for a hidden camera to pop out of the azaleas. Nope. Just pure uncut entitlement. No, please, no, would you mind just... Here's what you're doing, thanks in advance. You ever get a letter so ridiculous you start wondering if you're the one who's lost it? Back inside, I fired off what I thought was a pretty reasonable email. Explained politely, mind you, that I wasn't part of Pine Grove Ridge, my property was private. Here's my deed, here's the boundary map with the nice big highlighted line. Best regards and all that. Sent it off, figured that'd be the end. 10 minutes later, my inbox pings. Karen writes back all icy formal. While technically your home is not under HOA governance, we consider all adjacent properties part of our broader community. Your lack of cooperation is disappointing. You may not be legally bound, but you are morally obligated. I suggest you reconsider. Signed with a little digital flourish. That was the moment I realized this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was the opening shot. She honestly believed because she could see my pool from her house it belonged to her and her HOA minions. My jaw clenched. Old instincts from my private security days kicked in. That creeping irritation just before you realize someone's about to cross a line they can't uncross. I needed to clear my head, so I walked my property 6 acres of solitude I'd busted my back to maintain. Fencing, cameras, electric gate, the whole nine. Not because I'm paranoid, but because boundaries matter. Some people just don't get that. I sent one last email. No one is permitted on my property without my written consent. The pool is private, the land is private, and your event will not take place here. Further contact will be considered harassment. I thought surely that's enough. But Karen, she doesn't see lines. She sees opportunities. So I upped my security perimeter alerts on camera sensitivity maxed intercom, now greeting visitors with a bright blue private property. All unauthorized entry will be documented and reported. And then I poured myself a drink, sat on the deck, and waited for whatever lunacy was next. Friday, the day of the community social. Humid as hell. I had errands, but made sure everything was locked up. At about 4:45, my phone buzzes, motion detected. 5 cars, SUVs, minivans, even a sedan with pink balloons pull into the cul-de-sac near my south fence. People unloading coolers, chairs, a karaoke rig, you name it. 15 of them. And then Karen herself, pastel blazer, clipboard, flanked by 2 guys looking like henchmen straight out of a community theater production. She walked right up to my gate, punched the intercom. I let her stew. She tried again, rapid fire, like maybe the gate would just give up. Finally, I answered no. Silence. This isn't a request, Mr. Mills. You are expected to honor your community obligation. Not part of your community, Karen. She spun around, rallied. Her troops waved her phone. Next thing, she calls the cops. Now this is where I started having fun. I made popcorn, poured bourbon, pulled up the multicam feed. Deputy Blake showed up. A good guy knows his stuff. Karen charged him, playing the victim. He's endangering the community. Locked a public access gate. Blake just shook his head. Ma'am, this is private property. We've checked county records. He's not in your HOA. Karen's face priceless. I buzzed in. Maybe next time send an RSVP before trying to annex my pool. She flipped off the camera. Guests trickled away, grumbling, stuffing lanterns and chairs back into their trunks. One lady tried to moon the camera and tripped over my garden light. Blake waved as he left. Sunset. Pool stayed quiet. No karaoke, no kids, no Karen. Sweetest silence you've ever heard. Next morning, peace and coffee on the porch. Until I checked the mailbox, a thick manila envelope from the county inspection office. Inside, a formal complaint about unpermitted swimming structure. Karen's handiwork, no doubt. I laughed. That pool's been on the books for 12 years, fully permitted, inspected all of it. Spent an hour pulling records, printed everything out. When the county inspector arrived, a tired guy named Mark, I handed him the stack. He barely looked up. We've had a lot of anonymous complaints from this area lately. I asked if any of them involved a woman in pastel pantsuits. He just smirked. But the hits kept coming, emails about excessively bright exterior lights, surveillance violating privacy, failure to honor community spirit. All nonsense, but relentless. Karen was trying to drown me in paperwork. So I adapted. Upgraded to thermal imaging, license plate capture, live streaming to off-site backups. Activated passive mics. I caught her one night muttering near my fence. He thinks this gate makes him untouchable. Monday morning, I took all the footage and documentation, drove it to the sheriff's office, filed a harassment report. Another HOA neighbor situation, the deputy asked. Something like that, I said. Must be the heat, he replied. And just when I thought it might quiet down, alarm goes off. Not a squirrel, not a false ping. Actual breach south fence. I was in Charleston on a job, but tapped into the live feed. Karen, her husband Gerald, and some other guy I didn't know with a ladder. They scaled my fence drone in a bag, buzzing over my yard, filming like they were running their own private investigation. Didn't know my system pings the sheriff the second a rogue drone lifts off. By the time I got home, 2 patrol cars were waiting. Karen tried to turn it into a misunderstanding. Blake just looked at her. Ma'am, I'm going to ask you to stop talking. She and Gerald were handcuffed, drone confiscated. As they drove away, I found her clipboard. She'd scheduled the whole thing right down to depart undetected. She circled undetected in pink marker. You can't make this up. The video of her arrest hit the local news. Neighbors from Pine Grove Ridge started calling not to defend Karen but to apologize. Turns out everyone hated her reign. She'd fined a teenager for mowing his lawn with headphones, cited an old man for unsightly wind chimes. Her downfall was their emancipation. The HOA board booted her that weekend and Gerald resigned. The rest of the board soon followed, but it wasn't over. My lawyer and I dug into their finances. Turned out Karen and Gerald had been funneling HOA funds to fake companies, landscaping, decorations, consultants, all made up. We handed everything to the county. Subpoenas flew, the HOA's bank account froze, and Karen, already facing trespassing charges, now had fraud on her plate. I filed a grant application to use the frozen HOA funds to build a public pool and rec area for everyone outside any HOA boundary. Freedom Springs, I called it. County loved it. Meanwhile, Pine Grove Ridge fell apart. People moved out. Others painted over the HOA logos. Pink flamingos popped up everywhere. An elderly neighbor left me a voicemail. For the first time in 15 years, I can plant what I want in my own garden. Thank you. You'd think Karen would have quit after all that. You'd be wrong. Next, she sued me defamation, obstruction of HOA duties, emotional distress. My lawyer, Robin, just rolled her eyes. It's noise, she said, but we'll file a counter. Right before the hearing, someone sabotaged my power. Security footage caught Karen herself, dressed in black, flipping my breaker. Second arrest, this time no speeches. In court, Karen gave a rambling monologue about community unity. The judge cut her off. Ma'am, you're not a public official and this isn't a Renaissance fair. Sit down. Lawsuit dismissed with prejudice, my countersuit moved forward. Karen got slapped with a restraining order and soon after a third arrest for violating it. By then, Pine Grove Ridge's HOA was dead. The news was everywhere and construction on Freedom Springs had begun. The lesson: boundaries matter. Not just on a map, but in life. Power unchecked becomes tyranny, whether in government or the hands of a clipboard-waving suburban queen. And sometimes when you stand your ground, the universe, karma, the law, whatever you call it, has a way of setting things right. I bolted a new sign to my fence, private property. No trespassing, no HOA, no Karen. Someone left a toy crown by it. I let it be. Now on quiet nights, I listen to the water in my pool, safe in my little kingdom, 6 acres wide and HOA repellent. And when friends come by, I make them read that sign out loud before they swim, just so they never forget whose yard they're in. But hey, let me ask you, if this happened in your neighborhood, would you fight back or cave in? What's the wildest run-in you've had with authority power trips or nosy neighbors? I'd love to hear your stories. Drop a comment. Let's see whose battle was craziest.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.